Okay, so good evening.
So, guten Abend.
Let's begin with prayer.
Lasst uns mit Gebet beginnen.
Dear Heavenly Father, I thank you that we can study now your word again.
Lieber himmlischer Vater, ich danke dir, dass wir jetzt wieder dein Wort studieren können.
And thank you that you are merciful and that you still grant us probationary time.
Und danke, dass du erbarmungsvoll bist und dass du immer noch Gnadenzeit gewährst.
And that you are opening up to us all what is written in this scroll.
Und dass du all das, was in diesen Schriftrolle geschrieben ist, uns auftust.
And please help us that these words would really bring us to repentance.
Und bitte hilfe uns, dass diese Worte uns wahrlich zur Buße führen möge.
That we would not only hear all these things, but that it would really enter into our hearts.
Dass wir nicht nur all diese Dinge hören, sondern dass sie wahrlich in unserem Herzen hineindringen.
And that we would become doers of the word.
Und dass wir Täter des Wortes werden.
And I ask now for your Holy Spirit.
Und ich bitte jetzt für deinen Heiligen Geist,
That you would bring conviction upon our hearts.
dass du Überführung über unseren Herzen bringst.
And I ask for a blessing for this study in Jesus' name.
Und ich bitte für einen Segen, um einen Segen für dieses Studium in Jesu Namen.
Amen.
Amen.
Oh. Super laut. Okay, so tonight we want to one more time look at Revelation 10.
So, heute Abend wollen wir ein weiteres Mal Offenbarung 10 anschauen.
And because yesterday I think it was a lot of information for many people.
Gestern war es viele Informationen für einigen.
And therefore I thought of going through the main points again and then we'll see how far we get.
Ich dachte, den Hauptpunkten nochmal hindurchzugehen und schauen, wie weit wir kommen.
Okay, so in Revelation 10 we understand there comes this angel down from heaven, yes?
In Offenbarung 10, wir verstehen, dass dieser Engel vom Himmel herabkommt
And he has the little book open
und er hat das kleine Buchlein offen.
and then 7 thunders utter their voices.
Und dann erscheinen sich die 7 Donnern ihren Stimmen.
And once they uttered their voices then he's commanded to seal up the 7 thunders.
Und nachdem sie ihre Stimmen ertönen ließen haben, dann ist er befohlen, die 7 Donnern wieder abzuschließen.
And Sister White, she has this quote and I can just repost it again.
Ellen White hat diesen Zitat und ich poste das jetzt wieder.
She says basically that the same injunction as to John came also to Daniel to seal up the book.
Sie sagt im Grunde, dass derselbe Befehl, der zu Johannes gekommen ist, das Buch abzusiegeln, ist auch zu Daniel gekommen.
So let's go to this quote, the second paragraph.
So gehen wir eben zu diesem Zitat, zu dem zweiten Absatz.
It says, second paragraph,
Zweiter Absatz.
it says, after these 7 thunders uttered their voices, the injunction comes to John as to Daniel in regard to the little book. Seal up those things which the 7 thunders uttered. So here we can see she now links the experience of John to the experience of Daniel.
So hier können wir sehen, dass sie verbindet die Erfahrung von Johannes mit der Erfahrung von Daniel.
How both have to seal up the book.
Beiden sollen das Buch absiegeln.
Okay, so and therefore when you go to Daniel chapter 12,
So, deswegen, wenn wir jetzt in unseren Bibeln zu Daniel 12 gehen,
this is where you can see this sealing up. Okay.
hier ist es, wo wir diesen Versiegeln oder Absiegeln sehen können.
No, verse 7. Verse 4.
4.
12, verse 4.
Kapitel 12 und Vers 4.
It says, but thou, Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. Okay, so verse 4 would be a comparison to verse 4 in chapter 10.
So
Revelation
Vers 4 hier in Daniel 12 wäre ein Vergleich mit Vers 4 in Offenbarung 10.
Yes?
Amen.
Everybody sees this?
Kann jeder das sehen?
Okay. Also based upon the quote, right?
Das ist auch basierend auf den Zitat, die
So
wir soeben
therefore-
gelesen haben.
What must have happened beforehand
So,
in
was muss
Daniel?
geschehen haben mit Daniel zuvor?
Must be open.
Yeah, seven thunders had to utter their voices, right?
Die 7 Donnern mussten ihren Stimmen erschallt haben.
Okay, so what comes immediately before Daniel 12 verse 4?
Und was kommt sofort vor Daniel 12, Vers 4? Revelation.
Yeah, Daniel 11, right?
Daniel 11.
Okay, so the vision of Daniel 11.
So, die Vision von Daniel 11.
So Daniel 11 is basically given and then it says seal up.
So,
The
Daniel
book.
11 wird gegeben und dann sagt, versiegelt das Buch.
So therefore you can conclude Daniel 11 is therefore the seven thunders.
So,
Okay?
man kann davon entnehmen, dass Daniel 11 ist deswegen die 7 Donner.
Yes?
Amen.
Okay. So and obviously, you know, we are now in this time and type where the seven thunders utter their voices, right?
Und wir befinden uns gerade in dieser Zeit in Typus, wo die 7 Donnern ihre Stimmen erschallen lassen.
So the question is now, is Daniel 11 open to us also? Okay.
Die Frage ist dann folglich, ist Daniel 11 jetzt für uns offen?
Okay. So the only difference would be here somebody would be raised up who gives this to a congregation, right?
So, der einzige Unterschied ist es, dass hier werde jemand aufgerichtet, um Daniel 11, also das hier den Versammlungen zu geben.
But in our time there's nobody being raised up already like John here. Okay.
Aber in unserer Zeit gerade jetzt ist niemand, der wie Johannes hier aufgerichtet worden ist.
But who's at the moment doing this job of John for us?
Sondern wer ist es, der gerade diesen Werk für Johannes, für uns tut?
Two witnesses, right? Christ himself through the two witnesses. Okay.
Die 2 Zeugen, also Christus selbst durch die 2 Zeugen.
Okay. So therefore I believe that he wants to now also teach us Daniel 11. Okay.
So, ich glaube, dass er uns jetzt Daniel 11 lehren möchte.
Okay, so this is something we should definitely look into again and expect that he would explain it to us better than before.
Das ist eine Sache, die wir auf jeden Fall noch anschauen sollten und dass wir dann erwarten sollten, dass er es uns so mehr als zuvor auftut.
Yes, everybody follows?
Kann jeder folgen?
Okay, good. So, but when we work our way backwards in Daniel chapter 12 and 11,
Aber wenn wir uns zurückwirken durch Daniel 12 und 11,
so we saw shut up, right?
wir haben gesehen, dass es versiegelt wird.
And then the seven thunders. And then
Die
we're
7
given.
Donner.
And what is before that?
Und was ist davor?
Yes, okay.
Die Offenbarung.
But which revelation?
Aber welche Offenbarung? The seventh thunders is the second of Revelation.
Yes, but before the seven thunders.
Also vor die 7 Donner.
Yeah, the first revelation, right?
Der erste Offenbarung.
And do you see this in chapter 10?
Und kann man das in Kapitel 10 sehen?
Yes, okay.
Ja.
And where?
Wo?
No, beginning verse 4, right?
Vers 4.
Okay. So let's read verse 4.
Vers 4.
It says, And in the 24th day of the first month, as I was by the side of the great river, which is Hiddekel, then I lifted up mine eyes and looked, and behold, a certain man clothed with linen, whose loins were girded with the gold of Uphaz. His body also was like the beryl, and his face as the appearance of lightning, and his eyes as lamps of fire, and his arms and his feet like in color to polished brass, and the voice of his words like the voice of a multitude. So, and then Daniel is humbled in the dust, right, when he sees this.
Dann, als Daniel dies sieht, ist er im Staub gedemütigt.
So, what does Sister White say?
Und was sagt Ellen
Who
White?
came here to Daniel?
Wer ist es, der hier zu Daniel kam?
Exactly, okay. No less the personage than the Son of God, she says. Right?
Kein geringerer als der Sohn des Herrn, Sohn Gottes.
And let me just forward this quote again.
Diesen Zitat poste ich nochmal.
First sentence
Der erste Satz.
says, no less a personage than the Son of God appeared to Daniel. Okay, why is this expression important?
So, warum ist diese Ausdrucksweise wichtig? So, it's the same in Revelation 10.
Yeah, it's the same in Revelation 10, right?
Es ist dasselbe in Offenbarung 10.
Because she says, when you just go back to this last quote,
So, wenn wir nur zurück zu diesem ersten Zitat gehen,
into the first paragraph, the first sentence,
ersten Absatz und ersten Satz,
that speaks about Revelation 10.
spricht über Offenbarung 10.
It says, the mighty angel who instructed John was no less a personage than Jesus Christ. Okay, so here we can see, therefore, Daniel 10 to 12 is a perfect parallel to Revelation 10.
So, hier können wir sehen, Daniel 10 bis 12 ist eine perfekte Darstellung von Offenbarung 10.
Yes?
Amen.
So first comes no less a personage than Jesus Christ down.
So, jetzt kommt zuerst kein geringerer als Jesus Christus herab.
Then seven thunders utter their voices,
Dann erscheinen sich die 7 Donnern ihren Stimmen.
which would be Daniel 11,
Das
right?
wäre dann Daniel 11.
And then it says, seal up what the seven thunders uttered, right?
Und dann sagt es, versiegele, was die 7 Donnern gesagt haben.
Which would be Daniel shut and seal the book until the time of the end.
Das wäre Daniel, verschließe und versiegele das Buch bis zur Zeit des Endes.
Yes, everybody sees this?
Wie ihr das seht.
Okay. But yesterday we looked at this more extensively, right?
Aber gestern haben wir das intensiv, in größere Details angeschaut.
Okay, so for instance in Daniel 10, what can you see that you cannot see in Revelation 10?
Zum Beispiel in Daniel 10, was kann man sehen, was man nicht in Offenbarung 10 sehen kann?
The 3 touches.
Yeah, the three touches, right?
Diese 3 Berührungen.
So Christ comes down and then he's 3 times touched.
So, Christus kommt herab und wird 3-mal angerührt.
So in Revelation 10 you don't see this, okay?
In Offenbarung 10 sieht man das nicht.
But where in the book of Revelation can you see it? At
Aber
least, maybe not 3 times, but 1 time at least.
wo kann man das in der Buch Offenbarung sehen? Es war vielleicht nicht 3-mal, aber einmal zumindest.
Yeah, Revelation 1, right?
Offenbarung 1.
So keep your finger here. Let's go to Revelation 1.
Haltet den Platz hier und geht zur Offenbarung 1.
Let's see if it's Daniel 8.
Yes. So in Revelation 1, which revelation is John seeing there?
In Offenbarung 1, welche Offenbarung sieht Johannes?
Yes, beginning in verse 12 I'm referring to.
Fängt am Vers 12 an.
That would be the first one,
Das
yes?
wäre dann der erste Offenbarung.
Okay, because he sees now no less than a personage than Jesus Christ, right?
Er sieht dann keine geringere als Jesus Christus.
So he sees Christ among the 7 golden candlesticks.
Er sieht Christus inmitten der 7 goldenen Leuchter.
And then verse 17.
Und dann Vers 17.
And when I saw him, I fell at his feet as dead. And he laid his right hand upon me, saying unto me, fear not, I'm the first and the last. Okay? So he comes here to the end and then he's touched.
So,
Right?
er kommt hier zum Ende und er wird gerührt.
Okay. And this would be
Daniel 8.
Daniel chapter 8 also.
Das
Okay?
wäre dann Daniel 8.
Because here John is only touched 1 time,
Weil hier Johannes ist nur das einmal angerührt.
but the 1-time touch is actually 3 times in Daniel 10.
Aber
Okay?
diese einmal anrühren ist das 3-mal, wo Daniel angerührt ist in
Because-
Daniel 10.
I want to show you this.
Und ich möchte das zeigen.
Let's go back to Daniel 10
Gehen wir
for now.
zurück zu Daniel 10.
Daniel 10, beginning in verse 7.
Daniel 10. Dann fangen wir in Vers 7 an.
It says, and I, Daniel, alone saw the vision. The first revelation.
Das
Okay?
war die erste Offenbarung.
For the men that were with me saw not the vision, but a great quaking fell upon them, so that they fled to hide themselves. Therefore I was left alone and saw this great vision, and there remained no strength in me. For my comeliness was turned in me into corruption, and I retained no strength. Yet heard I the voice of his words. And when I heard the voice of his words, then was I in a deep sleep on my face, and my face toward the ground. And behold, an hand touched me, which set me upon my knees and upon the palms of my hands. Okay, when Daniel retained no strength, how in what position was he?
So, wenn Daniel keine Kraft noch hat, in welche Position war er?
Yeah, flat on his face, right?
Auf sein Angesicht.
Verse 9.
Vers 9.
9. Ne? Okay, and then he was touched, right?
Danach wurde er berührt.
Or was then touched 3 times.
3-mal ist er berührt
Okay,
worden.
it says he was, verse 9, yet I heard the voice of his words, and when I heard the voice of his words, then I was in a deep sleep on my face, and my face toward the ground.
Vers
Right?
9.
So let's go now to Daniel 8.
Gehen wir jetzt zu Daniel 8.
And let's go to verse 18,
Dann gehen wir zu Vers 18,
or 17 and 18, sorry.
17 und 18.
So this is when Gabriel now came to Daniel
So, hier ist es, wo Gabriel zu Daniel ankam,
to give him this understanding.
dieses Verständnis zu geben.
So he came near where I stood, and when he came, I was afraid and fell upon my face. So what happened to him?
Was geschah mit ihm?
Humbled in the dust.
Im
Right?
Staub gedemütigt worden.
But he said unto me, Understand, O son of man, for at the time of the end shall be the vision. Now as he was speaking with me, I was in a deep sleep on my face toward the ground. How was he?
Wie war er? Vers 18.
Same as in Daniel 10, right?
Dasselbe wie in Daniel
Deep
10.
sleep, face toward the ground.
Tiefer Schlaf, Gesicht zum Boden.
But
Aber
he touched me and set me upright. Okay, so how many touches are mentioned here?
so wie viele Anrührungen werden hier erwähnt?
One.
Einmal.
But in Daniel 10 they are mentioned
Aber in Daniel 10,
3, right?
3 sind erwähnt.
And here he's touched, and after his touch, what happened to him?
Und hier ist er angerührt und danach, was geschah mit
He
ihm?
gets the second revelation.
Yes, but I'm referring to, it says, and he set me upright.
Und er setzte ihm aufrecht.
So he stands upon his feet, right?
Also er steht auf seinen Füßen.
That's what Ezekiel says.
Das ist,
Okay.
was Hesekiel sagt.
Yes?
Amen.
Okay. And when you stand upon your feet, what happens to you?
Und wenn du auf deinen Füßen stehst, was geschieht mit dir?
The Lord gives you the revelation.
Okay, the Spirit of God enters you,
Der
right?
Geist Gottes kommt in dich hinein.
Okay. So and then he gives you the roll to eat, right?
Und dann gibt er dir die Rolle zu
So
essen.
let's go to Ezekiel 1 just to remind ourselves.
Gehen wir zu Hesekiel 1, nur zur Erinnerung.
Ezekiel 1, 28.
Hesekiel 1, 28.
It says, As the appearance of the bow that is in the cloud in the day of rain, so was the appearance of the brightness round about. This was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of the Lord, and when I saw it, I fell upon my face, and I heard a voice of one that spake. So how was he?
So wie war er?
Yeah, like he would be with a face towards his ground in a deep sleep, right?
So wie als wenn er sein Angesicht zum Boden in einen tiefen Schlaf wäre.
And when you combine it with Daniel,
Wenn
yes?
du das mit Daniel vergleichst.
Or he would be like that when you compare it with John.
Oder er wäre wie tot, wenn du das mit Johannes vergleichst.
Okay, and what did he see also in verse 28?
Und was sah er auch in Vers 28?
A rainbow, right?
Ein Regenbogen.
Like John saw in Revelation 10, right?
So wie Johannes in Offenbarung 10 es sah.
Okay, so, but could you see that John in Revelation 10 was with his face toward the ground?
Aber konnte man in Offenbarung 10 sehen, dass Johannes sein Angesicht zum Boden hatte?
No.
Nein.
Okay, but line upon line you know that it would be so, okay?
Aber Linie auf Linie, du würdest dann wissen, dass das eben doch so wäre.
Okay. And so he is now this voice that speaks to him, and then chapter 2 verse 1,
Kapitel 2 und Vers 1, nachdem er diese Stimme hört, die mit ihm spricht.
and that would be the second voice, right?
Das wäre der zweite Stimme.
Because we know here's the first and then the second.
Und wir wissen, dass hier der erste Stimme ist und hier der zweite.
And then chapter 2 verse 1,
Kapitel 2 und Vers 1.
and he said unto me, Son of man, stand upon thy feet, and I will speak unto thee. So he sets him now upright, right?
So, er setzt ihm aufrecht.
And the Spirit entered into me when he spake unto me, and set me upon my feet, that I heard him that spake unto me. Okay, so when you're set on your feet, then the Spirit enters you, right?
Also wenn du aufrecht gestellt wirst oder auf deine Füßen gestellt wirst, dann kommt der Geist in dich hinein.
Okay. Verse 3, and then he's sent in verse 3,
Vers 3 wird er gesandt,
but then jump down to verse 9 and 10.
aber dann kommen wir zu Verse 9 und 10.
And when I looked, behold, an hand was sent unto me, and lo, a roll of a book was therein. And he spread it before me, and it was written within and without, and there was written therein limitations, mourning, and woe. So, he was set upright, yes,
Hier ist er aufrecht gestellt worden.
the Spirit came into him,
Der Geist kommt in ihm hinein.
and what was now spread out before him?
Und was ist vor ihm ausgerollt worden?
The roll.
Der fliegende Rolle.
And when only is the roll spread out before you?
Und wann nur ist die Rolle vor dir ausgerollt?
Because the roll is sealed with how many seals?
Denn die Rolle ist versiegelt mit wie viele Siegeln?
7 seals, right?
7 Siegeln.
So it's on seal.
Therefore, would be now the little book being opened.
So,
Right?
das wäre dann gleich das kleine Buchlein, der offen ist.
Therefore, he's not commanded to eat it, just like John is commanded to eat it. Right?
So, deswegen ist er befohlen, es zu essen, genauso wie Johannes befohlen worden ist, das Buch zu
And
essen.
it's sweet in his mouth. Right?
Und es würde süß in seinem Mund sein.
Okay, so we can see all these things is one illustration, one story.
So,
Right?
wir können sehen, dass all diese Dinge derselbe Darstellung, derselbe Geschichte sei.
Okay, now let's go back to Daniel chapter 12.
Gehen wir zurück zu Daniel 12.
And let's go back to verse 4.
Und Vers 4.
This is now when the 7 thunders had uttered their voices. Okay,
Das ist, wenn die 7 Donnern bereits ihre Stimmen erschallt haben.
and then it says in verse 4.
Vers 4.
But thou, Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. So that would be then here at the end, right?
Das wäre dann hier am Ende,
When it's sealed up.
wenn
Okay.
es versiegelt ist.
After the 7 thunders uttered their voices. Okay.
Nachdem die 7 Donnern ihre Stimmen erschallt haben.
Okay. Then verse 5.
Vers 5.
Then I, Daniel, looked, and behold, there stood other two, the one on this side of the bank of the river, and the other on that side of the bank of the river. And one said to the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, How long shall it be to the end of these wonders? So what are they asking?
So, was fragen Sie?
How long?
How long?
Wie
Okay.
lange
Shall it be until the end of these wonders? Okay?
wird es sein bis zum Ende dieser Wunder?
Okay, so they would be asking it here.
Die werden
Okay.
dann hier fragen.
How long?
Wie lange?
Until the end of the wonders.
Bis
Okay?
zum Ende der Wunder.
So they're asking about
So, Sie
What?
fragen, wonach?
the end.
Das Ende.
Who else stood here and asked about the end?
So, wer noch stand hier und fragte nach das Ende?
Okay. Outside the book of Daniel.
Außerhalb des Buch Daniels.
Matthew 24.
Yes.
So, Matthäus 24.
Okay, keep your finger here. Let's go to Matthew 24.
Halte den Platz hier und geht zu Matthäus 24.
And let's begin in verse 1 to 3.
In Vers 1 und lesen wir bis Vers 3.
And Jesus went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him for to show him the buildings of the temple. So where on the line does Jesus leave the temple?
So, wo auf die Linie verlässt Jesus den Tempel?
Right here. Right?
Hier.
And then verse 2.
Vers 2.
And Jesus said unto them, See ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming, and of the end of the world? Right? So they ask now about the end of the world, right?
Sie fragen nach das Ende der Welt.
And Jesus is then leading them down eventually to the seventh plague, right?
Und Jesus führt sie hinab bis letztendlich zu der 7. Plage hin.
Okay, because the seventh plague is the
Die 7. Plage ist was?
end of the world,
Das
right?
Ende der Welt.
Okay, but the seventh plague is also typified here,
Aber
right?
die 7. Plage wird auch hier vorausgeschattet.
So this is the end
So, das hier ist das Ende,
of the world.
das Ende der Welt.
How do we know this?
Woher wissen wir das? So haben wir
Yes,
es.
let's go to Matthew 13.
Gehen wir zu Matthäus 13.
Matthew 13,
Matthäus 13,
and yes, let's read verse 39.
Vers 39.
And it's 39 and yeah. Okay, so it says the enemy that sowed them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the world, and the reapers are the angels. So here we see the harvest is the end of the world, right?
Da können wir sehen, die Ernte ist das Ende der Welt.
In verse 14 also,
Vers
40.
40 auch noch.
As therefore the tares are gathered and burnt in the fire, so shall it be in the end of this world. The Son of Man shall send forth his angels, and they shall gather out of his kingdom all things that offend, and them which do iniquity. Yes, so he's sending his angels. When is he sending his angels together?
41. Wann sendet er seinen Engeln zusammen?
The end of the world.
Yeah, at the end of the world, in the
Das Ende
house.
der Welt.
And Matthew 24 says, when you see the sign of the Son of Man, right?
Matthäus 24 sagt, wenn du das Zeichen des Menschensohnes siehst.
Okay, let's keep your finger here. Let's go back. Let's see.
It's not gathered them when the harvest finished. It has to be before it's finished.
Let's go to Matthew 24 again.
Und zu Matthäus 24
Keep your
wieder.
finger on Matthew 13. We'll come back there.
Habt ihr den Platz hier?
Let's begin in verse 29 to verse 30.
Vers 29 bis 30.
It says, immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. So where are we?
So, wo befinden wir uns?
It's the beginning of the seventh plague.
Beginning of the seventh plague, right?
Anfang der 7. Plage.
Tribulation cut short, shaking of heaven and earth.
Trübsal ist abgekürzt und es ist die Erschütterung von Himmel und Erde.
Verse 30.
Vers 30.
And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. So what is it? It's the sign, right?
Das ist das Zeichen.
Sign of his coming, right?
Zeichen seines Kommens.
Beginning of the seventh plague still,
Das
right?
Anfang vom 7. Plage.
And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. Okay? So from one end to
Von einem Ende bis zum anderen.
first end to the
Erste Ende,
second end.
zum
Right?
zweite Ende.
So therefore this is the end of the world, the harvest. Yes?
Deswegen das hier ist das Ende der Welt, der Ernte.
Because how many harvests do you have?
Wie viele Ernten gibt es?
2. Right?
2.
What is this harvest here?
Was ist diese Ernte hier?
Special resurrection,
Die
right?
besondere Auferstehung.
And then the general resurrection.
Und dann
Right?
das allgemeine Auferstehung.
Okay. So 2 ends.
2 Enden.
Now let's go back to Matthew 13.
Gehen wir zu Matthäus 13 zurück.
Let's begin in verse 27 down to verse 30.
Wir lesen von Vers 27 bis 30.
Parable of the wheat and the tares.
Das Gleichnis von Weizen und Unkraut.
So the servants of the householder came and said unto him, Sir, didst not thou sow good seed in thy field? From whence then hath it tares? And he said unto them, An enemy hath done this. The servants said unto him, Wilt thou then that we go and gather them up? But he said, Nay, lest while ye gather up the tares, ye root up also the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest. And in the time of harvest, I will say to the reapers, which are the angels,
Also die Schnittern, welche die Engel sind.
Gather you together first the tares and bind them in bundles to burn them, but gather the wheat into my barn. Okay, so until when are they to grow together?
So, bis wann sollten sie zusammenwachsen?
The time of harvest.
Die
Right?
Zeit der Ernte.
But the time of harvest would be from here to here, right?
Und der Zeit der Ernte wäre eben von Anfang bis zum Ende der 7. Plage.
It's the end of the world.
Das ist das Ende der Welt.
So, and if this is the end and it's the time,
Und wenn dies das Ende ist und es ist der Zeit,
so what is it then?
was ist es denn? The
Time of
time of
harvest.
the end.
It's the time of the end,
Die
right?
Zeit des Endes.
Okay, so the time of the end is also not depending on the illustration, can be a point in time, but can also refer to this time period.
Also der
Okay?
Zeit des Endes, je nach der Darstellung. Es kann auch ein Punkt in der Zeit sein, aber hier es kann auch so eine Zeitperiode angewandt werden.
Okay, so now the point I want to make is that the time of the end in one illustration begins already here. Okay.
Der Punkt, den ich damit machen möchte, ist, dass der Zeit des Endes in einer Darstellung fängt eben am Anfang der 7. Plage an.
Okay, so let's go to, and which would be then obviously in the type here, right?
Das wäre in der Typus denn natürlich hier.
Okay, so when we go now to Daniel chapter 12 again,
Also wenn wir jetzt wieder zu Daniel 12 gehen,
in verse 6,
in Vers 6,
so they ask here in verse 6 this question, how long until the end of these wonders, right?
also in Vers 6, sie fragen, wie lange bis zum Ende diesen Wundern.
So and they stand here just like the disciples and asking about the end.
Sie
Okay,
stehen hier und fragen genauso wie die Jünger nach das Ende.
okay. The answer is then in verse 7.
Die Antwort finden wir in Vers 7.
And I heard the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, when he held up his right hand and his left hand unto heaven, and swear by him that liveth forever, that it shall be for a time, times and a half. And when he shall have accomplished to scatter the power of the holy people, all these things shall be finished. And I heard, but I understood not. Then said I, O my Lord, what shall be the end of these things? And he said, Go thy way, Daniel, for the words are closed up and sealed till the time of the end. Okay, so
Vers 9.
what is the answer with respect to the question about the end of these wonders?
So, was ist die Antwort in Bezug auf die Frage über das Ende diesen Wunder? Time of the end, end of the 1260.
Yeah, time of the end of the 1260s, right?
Zeit des Endes, das Ende von der 1260.
So they say here, it's sealed up
Also sie sagen, hier ist es versiegelt
until the
bis
time of the end.
zum Zeit des Endes.
And when is the book again unsealed?
Und wann ist das Buch nochmal entsiegelt? Gerade
Right here,
hier.
right? Okay, so
Beginning of the time of the end.
So Anfang des Zeit des Endes.
so therefore, in this sense, you can see that time of the end marks also this point.
So
Okay.
in diesem Sinne kann man sehen, Zeit des Endes markiert diesen Punkt hier.
Therefore, yeah, it's the 1260 from here to here.
So deswegen ist der 1260 von hier bis da.
And do you have a 1260 bringing you from here to here?
Hat man eine 1260 von hier bis da?
Yes.
Jesus gone into the wilderness. So Jesus, after he's baptized, he goes 3.5 years till the cross.
Exactly. Okay.
Jesus, nachdem er getauft ist, geht 3,5 Jahre bis zum Kreuz.
So, or you have a parallel which is the 40, right?
Oder eine Parallel dazu ist eben die 40.
Christ goes into the wilderness for
Christus geht in
40
die
days after his
Wüste
baptism. Right?
40 Tage nach seiner Taufe.
And then he's tempted in this last temptation.
Und dann wird
Okay.
er in diese letzte Versuchung versucht eben.
Or you also have when they came out of Egypt,
Und wenn sie aus Ägypten herauskamen,
how many years were they in the wilderness?
wie viele Jahre waren sie in der Wüste?
40 years, right?
40 Jahre.
Okay, so therefore we have these illustrations also. Okay.
Deswegen hat man auch diese Darstellung.
Or when Nebuchadnezzar in Ezekiel 17,
So Nebukadnezar in Hesekiel 17.
how long did he take them to Babylon?
So wie lange nahm er sie zu Babylon?
70 years.
70 Jahre.
Okay, so Ezekiel 17. The two eagles, this parable. So, therefore we can see that it's sealed up here, but it's again unsealed here.
Deswegen können wir sehen, es ist versiegelt hier, ist aber wieder entsiegelt da.
Okay. And in verse 7,
In Vers 7,
when he's swearing unto heaven here,
und in Vers 7, wenn er schwört bei den Himmel,
what does he do?
was tut er?
He lifts his hands, right?
Er hebt seine Hände auf
And swears by whom?
und schwört bei wem?
By him that liveth forever, right?
Bei der immer lebt.
Okay. So therefore you see now this pattern here, right? So first the book of Daniel is sealed up.
Also deswegen können wir diesen Muster hier sehen. Zuerst ist das Buch Daniels versiegelt,
Then the question is how long?
dann die Frage, wie lange.
And then this angel lifts up his hands and swears by him that liveth forever.
Und dann hebt dieser Engel die Hände und schwört bei derjenige, der auf immer lebt.
It says 1260, and then all these things shall be finished.
So
Okay?
bis 1260 lang, dann werden all diese Dinge zu Ende sein.
Okay, because you come now then to the time of the end where everything will be finished. Okay?
Kommt eben zur Zeit des Endes, wo alles vollendet wird.
Yeah, but okay. Looking at this yesterday, right? We have talked about this end because when you go to Daniel 8, right?
Mhm.
The illustration is beginning before he gets to this point, right?
Daniel 8.
Yeah, Daniel is talking about the Sunday law, right? So
Daniel 8 spricht über den Sonntagsgesetz.
he's now at the end of the Sunday law, right?
Er ist jetzt am Ende der
And he
Sonntagsgesetz.
doesn't understand what's just happened.
Und er
Okay, in this vision, right? He wants to understand it, right?
möchte diese Vision
Yeah,
verstehen.
Daniel would be then at the end.
Daniel werde denn hier sein.
Oh, what do you refer
No,
to?
he's not at the end. He's at the seventh plague, right? Where all the other prophets are.
Okay, yes, okay.
He gets this revelation, right?
Er erhält diese Offenbarung.
Okay, and then the end of that revelation, right, comes and it says,
How long? Verse 30.
yes, right? Yeah, verse 13. So the thing that he sees goes all the way to verse 13.
Das, was er sieht, geht den ganzen
To
Weg
verse
bis
14.
Yes, right?
Vers 13
Okay,
To verse
so
14.
bis Vers 14.
yeah, to the end of verse 14, right? So the answer is, right, that I'll bring him, first of all, it says, okay, it doesn't matter. The question is, he's asking from the question is based upon the paganism and papalism, right? Where is it? It says concerning the daily and the transgression of desolation.
Die Frage ist Bezug Heidentum und Papsttum, also das tägliche und der Vertretung.
Okay, so the beginning of Sunday
Voll der
morning, the
Verwüstung.
daily leads you all the way down to the last persecution where you have the transgression of desolation, right? And he's asking, when does this finish? And the answer is up to 2,300 days, then shall the sanctuary be cleansed, right?
So they ask this question then. They ask here, how long shall it be? Right?
Yeah, but it's giving the answer, right, about the human temple, and it brings you to that same end point, right? Okay? Because it's in relation to what's just been going on, right? So, so the point is that when you go to Revelation, well, Daniel 12, sorry, they get to the end, the book's sealed up, and they ask the same question, but he tells Daniel, go thy way, Daniel, till the end be. Now he's pointing forward.
Yeah.
So it's the answer is it's both. One is showing you from the end here forward, and the other one is showing you from the back to this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, you can then take it and apply it also there.
Okay, what I'm saying is you got to bring all when you bring all the stories together, because Isaiah is at the beginning of the seventh plague, and he asks how long, right? And it's to the end of it, right?
You mean how long till here?
Yes.
But also how long till there?
No, Just leave that point.
Oh, okay.
Isaiah started at the beginning simply, he asked how long till the end, right?
Also Jesaja steht hier am Anfang der 7. Plage und stellt die Frage, wie lange? Und der Antwort ist eben bis hier,
Till all the cities be wasted,
bis
right?
die Städte verwüstet werden.
And they're asking in Daniel 8 the same question, right?
In Daniel 8 stellen sie dieselbe Frage
And the answer is the exact same place, right?
und der Antwort ist eben genau derselbe Ort.
Because what they're asking us, how long is the daily and the transgression of desolation going to tread down God's people? And the answer is, until the sanctuary is cleansed, it comes brings you to the end.
Antwort ist, wie lange wird der tägliche und der Groll der Verwüstung Gottes Volk niedertreten? Der Antwort ist, bis der Heiligtum gereinigt wird, und das ist eben hier am Ende.
Okay? Because in Revelation 10, when the angel gets to the end, right,
Offenbarung 10, wenn der Engel zu Ende kommt,
he lifts up his hands to heaven and swears by him, time shall be no longer. It's
So.
October 22nd, 1844.
er hebt seine Hände zu Himmel und schwört, dass Zeit nicht mehr länger sein wird, und das ist 22. Oktober
It's
1844.
a closed door,
Das ist eine
right?
geschlossene Tür.
Temple's cleansed.
Der Tempel ist gereinigt.
On October 22nd, the end of the 2300 finished.
22. Oktober kam der 200-300 Jahre zu Ende.
Okay, so both bring it to the same place, but in Daniel 12,
Also beide bringen zum selben Punkt, aber in Daniel 12,
they're asking exactly the same question because it's the same vision.
sie stellen genau denselben Frage, weil es ist eben derselbe Vision.
But in Daniel 12, it tells Daniel to seal up the book, he's got to sleep, and it points forward to where he's going to be resurrected, and it will be fulfilled.
Aber in Daniel 12, er sagt, er sollte das Buch versiegeln, und es weist vorwärts, wo die Vision denn erfüllt wird.
So it's just showing you the two ends. It's just like Matthew 24, just like John in Revelation 17.
Es
The past,
zeigt,
and then forward to the future.
es zeigt nur die zwei Enden, also die Vergangenheit, und dann weist vorwärts auf die Zukunft, genauso wie in
Repeat.
Matthäus 24. What else did you say Matthew 24 in book?
I didn't mention Matthew 24. Sorry, I'm going to be, yeah, sorry, I did actually. Christ, Matthew 24, and John in Revelation 17.
Also es ist dasselbe wie in Matthäus 24 und Johannes in Offenbarung 17.
Because in Revelation 10, he says that the seven thunders uttered their voices, and then he was to seal it up, and then the seven thunders begin again, going all the way down to the end, and then this at the same point again. So it's
Offenbarung 10, die 7 Donnern erschallen ihre Stimme, und dann ist es versiegelt, und dann fangen sie wieder an, ihre Stimmen zu erscheinen. Es geht den ganzen Weg hinunter bis zu denselben Punkt wieder.
okay, so the question, how long, is answered to this end and to that end, is both.
So die Frage, wie lange, ist antwortet eben auf diese Ende und auf diese Ende. Es ist eben beides.
Now I'm just saying, I don't know why you're looking at me like that. Yesterday, that's not what we
We didn't even touch any of the points that you just mentioned. I was in Daniel 12 speaking about this pointing to here. So that's all what I did so far. So I don't know what was going on.
yesterday we did Daniel 8, and we also said the same thing. They were standing there.
But I didn't touch Daniel 8 yet. So I don't know why you bring up Daniel 8 now.
You've just been to Daniel. What are you talking about?
I didn't touch it.
I'm just, doesn't matter. Go on then. I'm listening to something different than what you're saying. But it doesn't matter. We're just saying that it's illustrated both sides. Exactly the same as Matthew 24 and Revelation 17. That's all. Is it?
That's fine. No, it's just I just wonder why you bring this up.
Because you and I had a conversation yesterday about it. That's why.
Yes, but that's fine.
Okay, I don't know why you're making a problem because I'm mentioning that now.
No, it was just irritating me that I was not even going there, and you bring this up as if I was teaching
No,
something.
I
wrong.
never said that. I was just making a point clear so that everybody else would understand this point about how long. That's all. Right? There was some confusion on it yesterday, and I'm just clearing up this point. That's all.
No problem. Okay, so then let's go back to Daniel chapter 12.
So gehen wir zurück zu Daniel 12.
So in Daniel 12, yeah, we saw basically he was standing here they were standing here and asking the question, how long?
So in Daniel 12 haben wir gesehen, dass sie hier stunden und stellten die Frage, wie lange.
And we saw Daniel 12 points down to this here,
Und wir
okay,
haben gesehen, dass Daniel 12 weist auf diesen Punkt hin,
when it's unsealed again.
wo es wieder entsiegelt wird.
Okay, so and then and I asked a question in verse 7.
Und ich habe die Frage gestellt in Vers 7.
It says, and I heard the man clothed in linen which was upon the waters of the rivers, when he held up his right hand and his left hand unto heaven, and swear by him that liveth forever, that it shall be for a time, times and a half. And when he shall have accomplished to scatter the power of the holy people, all these things shall be finished. Okay, so here we can see that after this book is sealed and shut up, which would be here,
So hier können wir sehen, dass nachdem dieses Buch versiegelt wird und abgeriegelt wird, was eben hier ist,
what next can we see here
was können wir denn folglich danach sehen?
in verse 7?
Vers 7.
He holds his right and left hand.
Yes, he swears now to heaven, right?
Er schwört bei den Himmel.
Okay, so now let's go to Revelation chapter 10.
Gehen wir jetzt zur Offenbarung Kapitel 10.
And let's begin in verse 4.
Und fangen wir in Vers 4 an.
It says, and when the seven thunders had uttered their voices, I was about to write, and I heard a voice from heaven saying unto me, seal up those things which the seven thunders uttered, and write them not. So this would be Daniel 12 verse 4, right?
Das hier wäre Daniel 12 und Vers 4.
And then the next thing we saw in Daniel 12 was that he raised his hand and swear by him that liveth forever. Right?
Das nächste, was wir in Daniel 12 gesehen haben, ist, dass er seine Hände erhob zu Himmel und schwörte bei dem, der auf ewig lebt.
And then verse 5.
Vers 5 jetzt.
And the angel which I saw stand upon the sea and upon the earth lifted up his hand to heaven, and sware by him that liveth forever and ever, who created heaven and the things that therein are, and the earth and the things that therein are, and the sea and the things which are therein, that there should be time no longer. Okay, so what can we see here?
So, was können wir hier sehen?
The same would be the same as in Daniel 12, right?
Dasselbe wie in Daniel 12.
Okay, but that would bring us in Daniel 12 to this point, right?
Das würde uns in Daniel 12 zu diesem Punkt bringen.
Okay, so, but as Brother Mark rightly said, okay,
Aber als Bruder Mark richtigerweise erwähnte,
let's go now to Daniel 8.
gehen wir wieder zu Daniel 8.
Daniel 8, you have this rundown of the kingdoms, yes?
In Daniel 8 gibt es diese Reihenfolge der Königreiche.
You have the ram, the he-goat, and then the horn, the little horn. Right?
Der Widder, das Ziegenbox und dann das kleine Horn.
And this would bring you from here to here,
Und
right?
das werde uns von hier bis da bringen.
Okay. So verse 12
Vers 12
speaks about the little horn.
spricht über den kleinen Horn.
So let's read verse 12 again.
So lesen wir das jetzt.
It says, and an host was given him against the daily by reason of transgression, and it cast down the truth to the ground, and it practiced and prospered. So until which point would it bring us historically here?
So historisch, bis wohin würde das uns bringen?
1798, right?
So 1798.
So it would bring us down to this end here, right?
Das wird zu diesem Ende hier bringen.
Okay, and then verse 13.
Vers 13.
Then I heard one saint speaking, and another saint said unto that certain saint which spake, how long shall be the vision concerning the daily and the transgression of desolation, to give both the sanctuary and the host to be trodden under foot? And he said unto me, unto 2,300 days, then shall the sanctuary be cleansed. So the vision brings him to the end, and now also here these two angels stand here.
So,
Okay?
der Vision bringt ihn hier zu Ende und auch stehen die zwei Engel hier.
just like we read in Daniel 12.
Genauso
Okay.
wie wir in Daniel 12 gelesen
They also asked the question, how long?
Und sie
Okay.
stellten auch die Frage, wie lange?
And when you go now, what is the answer to it?
Und was ist die Antwort darauf?
Exactly. Okay.
2300 Tagen.
And, yes. Okay. And then verse 15.
Dann Vers 15.
And it came to pass when even I, Daniel, had seen the vision and sought for the meaning, then behold, there stood before me as the appearance of a man. So, what can we see here in verse 15?
So, was können wir hier in Vers 15 sehen?
Where does Daniel come out of?
Wo kommt Daniel heraus?
No, what does it say in verse 15?
Was sagt es in Vers 15? Comes out of vision.
Yes, he comes out of the vision. Right?
Er kommt aus den Visionen heraus.
So therefore, from verse 1 to verse 14 was the vision he saw. Right?
Deswegen von Vers 1 bis Vers 14 war die Vision, die er sah.
Yes?
Amen.
Okay. So and then he comes out of the vision, and when he comes out of the vision, where would he be standing on the line?
Und dann, wenn er aus der Vision herauskommt, wo würde er auf die Linie stehen?
End of the dead box.
Yes, he would be standing here.
Er würde denn hier stehen.
Okay, so, but in the vision, these two men asking how long they were standing here, right?
Aber in der Vision, diese zwei Männer, die fragten, wie lange, standen hier.
Okay, and the answer was because the question was how long would be paganism and papalism tread down God's people? Yes?
Die Frage war, wie lange wird das Heidentum und Papsttum Gottes Volk niedertreten?
Yes?
Amen.
And the answer was
Und die Antwort darauf war,
2300 days, then shall the sanctuary be cleansed.
2300 Tage, dann wird das Heiligtum gereinigt sein.
So this how long would bring you to which point?
So, diese wie lange würde dich bis welchen Punkt bringen?
On the line.
Auf der Linie.
Yeah, the end of the treading down, right?
So, das Ende von das Niedertreten.
Okay, so therefore one how long brings you to this point,
So, eine wie lange bringt dir bis diesen Punkt hin.
but another how long would bring you, which would also equate to this point, right?
Aber eine weitere wie lange,
Sorry, I didn't catch my last word. So one how long would bring you to this point,
so eine wie lange wird dich zu diesem Punkt bringen,
which would be equating to this point, right?
was dasselbe wie diesen Punkt sein wird.
But one how long brings you to this point,
Aber eine
Daniel
wie
12,
lange
right?
bringt dich zu diesem Punkt,
which also would be equating to this point.
was
Okay.
denn auch gleich zu diesem Punkt sein wird.
And then you have how long also in Isaiah 6, right?
Und dann gibt es auch in Jesaja 6 eine wie lange.
And this how long would also bring you to this point, right?
Das würde denn dich zu diesem Punkt bringen.
Okay. So would be this the point you made?
I'm just making the point that the how long always brings you down to the time of the end. Whether this one or this one, because the time at the end is this period, so it can bring you to the beginning
Yeah,
of it
beginning
or
of
to
it,
the end
yes.
of it. And both sides, that's the only point I was making.
Okay, so therefore we can see Daniel 8 brings you to the end point, the how long.
So können wir sehen, Daniel 8 bringt zum Endpunkt des wie lange.
So the 2300 days would end here
2300 Tage würde denn hier enden
for this group,
für
but
diese Gruppe.
the 2300 days would end here for the Gentiles, right?
Aber es würde denn da enden für den Heiden.
So therefore how long can bring you to the end point,
So, das wie lange kann dich zum Endpunkt bringen?
or the how long can Daniel 12 would bring you to here, the beginning
Das,
point,
wie
right?
lange, Daniel 12 zum Beispiel, bringt dich zum hier, das Beginn.
But we can take this principle and also apply it here because it says at the time of the end the book shall be unsealed, right?
Man kann das Prinzip auch nehmen und es hier anwenden, weil es sagt, zur Zeit des Endes wird das Buch entsiegelt sein.
Okay, so the book is unsealed here, but it's also unsealed here.
Und das Buchlein ist da entsiegelt, aber auch hier.
Okay,
Amen.
everybody follows?
Kann jeder folgen?
Okay. So, but now let's go back to Revelation chapter 10.
So, gehen wir zurück zur Offenbarung 10.
So, because we saw Daniel 12 and Revelation 10 to be a parallel, right?
Wir haben gesehen, dass Daniel 12 und Offenbarung 10 sind Parallele.
So therefore, that's now my conclusion based upon this parallel, okay?
So, das ist meine Schlussfolgerung basierend auf dieses Gleichstellung, die Kapitel.
That when the question in Daniel 12 is asked how long, and he swears now by the Father who lives forever.
So in Daniel 12, wo fragt, wie lange, und schwört bei dem Vater, der auf immer lebt.
And it brings you then down to where it says it shall be finished.
Und es bringt dich dahin zu dem Punkt, wo es sagt, es wird vollendet sein.
Then here Revelation 10 verse 6 would be a parallel to this. Okay.
Hier Offenbarung 10 und Vers 6 wäre denn eine Parallel dazu.
And it says, and swear by him that liveth forever and ever, who created heaven and the things that therein are, and the earth and the things that therein are, and the sea and the things which are therein, that there should be time no longer. Okay, so we usually always mark it at the end, right?
Das haben wir normalerweise immer am Ende markiert.
And it
Is it the end?
yes, but
Because he says, right, when the days of the voice of the seventh angel, when he shall, you're speaking about the seventh trumpet, right? Let's speak about the seventh trumpet, right?
no, I'm speaking here. Verse 6 would be a parallel to chapter 12, verse 7, where he lifts his hand and brings you to this point here. Okay.
Well, I think it's verse 6 here is just to parallel the same place where Daniel's sealed up at the end. That's all it's doing. It's taking verse 6, it's marking the point where John is told to seal up the book, and he lifts his hands to heaven, and Daniel is told to seal the book, he lifts his hands to heaven, right? And then you bring these two expressions, with the instructions it gives you in Revelation 10, and the instructions it gives you in Daniel 12, and you bring them together, and it brings you to two separate points. Because he, remember, right at the very end, he says, verse 11, he said unto me, thou must prophesy again. So where does he prophesy again? When the book's unsealed, right? So when he lifts his hands up there in Revelation 10, he's pointing forward to the book's unsealed, where he's going to prophesy again. Whereas in Daniel 12, he's also pointing forward where Daniel's going to stand in his lot, and the book will be unsealed. So they're really pointing forward to the same thing. But where it's finished would be at the end.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also struggling with this verse because you can, I don't know, read it either way in a sense.
It's the end. The end of the day. The time of the end is the end. It's this last. I mean, we have this big long period right now, but when you come down to the seventh plague, it's a very short period of time. It's just like it's happening right there.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to be, dogmatic about verse 6, but I don't know. I will definitely look into this again, because I want to understand whether verse 6 now, marks here where he's standing, or whether it's like in Daniel 12 also pointing forward to the same point where Daniel 12 points forward to. Okay, so that is my question. Did you understood? Okay. So my question is.
Also meine Frage ist.
Revelation 10 verse 6, right?
Offenbarung 10 und Vers 6.
The angel stands here, right?
Der Engel steht hier.
Where it says, seal up the seven thunders.
Wo es sagt, versiegele die 7 Donner.
And this would be a parallel to Daniel 12 verse 7.
Das wäre eine Parallel zu Daniel 12 und Vers 7.
Where also Daniel was commanded to seal up the book of Daniel.
So auch Daniel befohlen worden ist, das Buch Daniels zu versiegeln.
And then the angel also swore and said it's 1260 until all things shall be finished.
Und dann
right?
schwör der Engel auch zum Himmel und sagt, es würde 1260 bis alles vollendet
Yes,
wird.
and this is what he does here in Revelation 10 verse 6. Right?
Das ist, was hier in Offenbarung 10 und Vers 6 tut.
Yes, okay. So, and therefore my question is now when he says in verse 6,
Und deswegen meine Frage wäre, wenn hier sagt in Vers 6,
when he now swears to him that created everything,
wenn er schwört bei der alles erschaffen hat,
that there should be time no longer, whether this now refers to this point we're standing or whether it's also pointing to the same point where Daniel 12 points to.
wo er sagt, Zeit wird nichts mehr, ob das nun mal auf diesen Punkt weist oder auf denselben Punkt, wo Daniel steht.
No,
Nicht steht, sondern wo Daniel 12 points to.
Wo Daniel 12 weist.
that doesn't make any sense. So if he's standing at the end there, we have to point to the end at the end here. What I'm saying, you're saying whether it's there or there. They're two different points.
My question is, because Daniel 12 verse 7, right,
Daniel 12, Vers 7.
says,
Seal up.
Daniel 12 verse 7 says
Yeah, but he's what it
3.5, right,
Daniel 12, Vers 7 sagt 3,5.
points down to this point,
Das weist
right?
auf diesen Punkt hin,
When the book is unsealed again at the
wo
time of
das
the end.
Buch wieder entsiegelt wird am Zeit des Endes.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's point like verse 7, right?
Okay, let's
Vers
go to
7.
Daniel 12 verse 7.
Daniel 12 und Vers 7.
It says, and I heard the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, and he held his right hand and his left hand unto heaven, and swear by him that liveth forever, that it shall be for a time, and times and a half. And when he shall have accomplished to scatter the power of the holy people, all these things shall be finished, right?
Mhm.
So he's now pointing forward to the close of probation, right?
Er weist auf den Schluss der Gnadenzeit.
That's where it's finished. That will be right at the end.
Das wäre genau am Ende, wo es vollendet
But
ist.
he tells him, go your way, Daniel, until the seventh seal is opened. You're going to stand in your lot and give the last warning message before that happens.
Aber er sagt, geht deinen Weg, Daniel, und du wirst dann in deine losstehen, Zeit des Endes, und der letzte Warnungsbotschaft geben, bevor das denn geschieht.
No, you said time at the end. I said when the seventh seal is opened, right? So, because it's confusing when you say that. Daniel's told to go his way until the beginning of the seventh seal.
Daniel ist gesagt,
Beginning
dass
of
er
the
seinen
seventh plague, excuse me.
Weg gehen sollte bis zum Beginn der 7. Plage,
Where the seventh seal is opened.
wo der 7. Siegel geöffnet
And
ist.
then he will give the last warning message. He's standing in his lot before that end comes that's marked in verse 7.
Und dann wird er in sein Los stehen und die letzte Warnungsbotschaft geben, noch bevor das, was in Daniel 12, Vers 7 erwähnt ist, geschieht.
Okay, now when you go to Revelation 10, it's exactly the same.
Wenn man
Right?
zu Offenbarung 10 geht, ist es genau dasselbe.
Because in verse 4 in Revelation 10,
In Vers 4 in Offenbarung 10
it says, seal up the vision,
versiegelt die Vision,
same as Daniel 12, right?
dasselbe wie Daniel 12.
And then in verse 6, he
Und dann
lifts his hands to heaven,
Vers 6 hebt er seine Hände zum Himmel,
swears by him to live forever, right?
schwört bei denen, der für immer lebt,
That it says that there should be time no longer,
dass
right?
Zeit nicht mehr sein wird.
That's where he's sealing it up, right?
Das ist, wo er es versiegelt.
But then he says,
Aber dann sagt er,
but in the days of the voice of the seventh angel, that's the last warning,
das ist
right?
in Vers 7, in der Zeit der Stimme der 7. Engel,
Oh,
das ist
no,
der
no,
letzte,
excuse me. This is the third woe, right? So
das ist der 3. Wehe.
this is the point, right? But in the days of the voice of the third woe, that's at the end, when it was all things are finished, right?
So, das ist am Ende, wenn alles vollendet ist.
Because if you just read verse 7,
Wenn wir
right?
Vers 7 lesen,
But in the days of the voice of the seventh angel, when he shall begin to sound, the mystery of God should be finished. That's what he says in Daniel 12 and verse 6.
das ist, was gesagt wird in Daniel 12, Vers 6.
So that's right at the end, right? The third woe.
Gerade am Ende, der 3. Wehe.
Then he does the very same thing. He tells John to go his way,
Dann sagt er genau dasselbe. Er sagt Johannes, dass er seinen Weg gehen soll.
verse 11.
Vers 11.
And he said unto me, Thou must prophesy again before many peoples, nations, and tongues and kings. That's when the seventh seal is opened, like Daniel.
So, Vers 11, das ist, wo der 7. Siegel geöffnet wird, genauso wie bei Daniel.
Right, now you get my point? They both, when that angel lifts his hand up, he's pointed to the end where probation closes and also to the beginning of the end where they give the last message.
So, wenn dieser Engel seine Hände zu Himmel hebt, er weist auf das Ende, wo die Gnadentür zu ist, aber auch zugleich zu das Beginn der Ende, wo der letzte Warnungsbotschaft gegeben
Both
wird.
Daniel and
But-
Revelation is
okay.
one book, right?
But-
Daniel und der Offenbarung
But
sind
where is he
ein Buch.
pointing to the beginning then?
Because in verse 11 he says that thou must prophesy again.
Vers 11.
So
Du
he's like
solltest
when he's
nochmal prophezeien.
when he says to Daniel, go thy way, and thou will stand in thy lot. This is where John stands in his lot, right?
Wo er sagt, Daniel, geht deinen Weg und du wirst in dein Los stehen. Hier in Vers 11 in Offenbarung 10. Das ist, wo Johannes in seinem Los stehen wird.
That's where he's going to prophesy, right?
Wo prophezeien wird.
So both Daniel and John are told to go their way until the beginning of the last one.
Sowohl Daniel als Johannes werden gesagt, geht euren Weg bis zum das Beginn der letzten Warnung.
But they're both asking, when is it going to finish? And the answer is at the third woe. Right?
Beide fragen aber, wann wird das vollenden? Und die Antwort ist am Anfang der dritten Wehe.
Right?
Amen?
Yeah, I mean, so therefore in Daniel 12 verse 6, when they ask how long shall it be to the end of these wonders,
Yes, und Daniel 12, Vers 6, wenn sie fragen, wie lange bis zum Ende diesen Wundern,
It says it shall be finished.
would be then,
There.
das wäre dann
Okay.
da.
Yes. The end of the 1260.
Das Ende der 1260.
Because it says it is finished. It just says the same thing in Revelation 10.
Es sagt, es ist vollendet. Und das ist dasselbe, was es sagt in
When the
Offenbarung 10.
seventh trumpet begins to sound, all these things shall be
Wenn
finished.
die 7. Posaune fängt an zu erschallen, all diese Dinge werden vollendet sein.
okay, I will look through this again and maybe tomorrow just summarize it once more and then,
Ich werde das nochmal anschauen und morgen alles wieder zusammenbringen.
alright, you can see, not easy but also not difficult, okay?
Wir können sehen, das ist nicht so einfach, aber auch nicht schwer.
Because we just need to bring all these things together and then once we do this, then it will be very plain.
Wir müssen nur all diese Dinge zusammenbringen und wenn wir das tun, dann wird alles klar werden.
Alright, then I would say over the time, let's close now with our prayer.
Ich würde sagen, wir sind die Zeit über. Lass uns mit unserer Gebetsrunde schließen.